Friends, I am very honored to be here today and I'm grateful to Mr. Dongre for his very kind invitation to me. It's not often that I get to attend meetings like this, and I've learned a great deal through the series of very instructive presentations that we have seen. In his remarks, Mr. Dongre said that we have represented many stakeholder interests represented at this meeting, covering the length of the market chain. I think he began with millers and ended with policymakers. I would suggest that we also need to look at the two extreme ends of the same chain, which he didn't mention, the farmers and the consumers. Since both of these represent substantial consumer interest, I think I'm entitled to say a little bit about this matter here. Now, I know this is a meeting of trade representatives, and trade interests are foremost. But the context is important. We are talking about farming practice. Mr. Tomar's presentation gave us a great deal of information about what is correct and what is wrong with the farming situation. We've learned what we've already known. We've known what our current requirement of pulses are, what our desired requirement of pulses is, what we are growing, what the current year's estimates are. We need to do some thinking about the impact on in the current year of the estimated lower production over the last year. We also need to ask, what is it that a farmer wants? What is in his best interest? He wants the best available, he wants the best possible price for the crop that he is growing. He will switch from pulses to something else if the alternative crop gives him a better price. He does not want hassle. He wants an assured market. He wants the kind of support that farmers across the country want from their state governments in terms of seed, fertilizer, and the various market supports that they need. And farmers are extremely responsive, very quick in their responses to outside trends. And one of the clear first indications that something is changing in the market is when you see farmers changing crop patterns. So that is the farmer's primary consideration. He needs a proper return, he needs an assured return, and he needs the support that both government and the market and trade representatives can give him. At the other end of the chain, what does the consumer need? The consumer needs assured availability at an affordable price of an essential food item. It is entirely possible, as we've heard, that consumers are not fully aware of what they should be consuming in terms of healthy food. That is a challenge before us. I was at a meeting just 2 days ago where the issue that came up was as one of the big jobs before consumer activists and people working in the consumer welfare section of how do you promote healthy food, less salt in one's food, more balanced diets, healthy exercise. These are other challenges. But what does the consumer want? The consumer wants affordable, accessible, healthy, nutritious food. The consumer also needs to be adequately educated on where such foods may be available. So the big challenge before all of us is to draw together these three threads: farmer interest, trade interest, and consumer interest. All need to be met, because you cannot have a healthy equilibrium if any one of these sectors is out of sync. The farmers need, as I said, the best prices and assurance of market support. Consumers need healthy food, and trade needs to prosper. I would suggest that the time has come, that perhaps the International Year in 2016 gives us the opportunity to do this, and some part of this work has already been done, but I do believe the time has come for a major exercise which addresses the question of, over the next few decades, where do we expect to go? One figure has been presented to us this morning of 32 million metric tons of pulses by the year 2030. But 2030 will be upon us before we know where we are. We need to plan for a slightly longer term. We need to plan for a growing population, for a much larger population. And at some point we need to take a decision of how much will Indian agriculture sustain. Is there any need to be committed to domestic production as an article of faith? Or should we, recognizing trade interest and recognizing consumer interest, understand that there is some ideal, desirable position somewhere of that this is India's requirement of pulses annually? This is ideally what the land will sustain, because there are huge competing pressures on the uses of land, not just in terms of other crops, but in terms of non-agricultural uses. So given that this is our requirement of pulses for a growing population, what can Indian agriculture sustainably, reasonably provide? When will this peak? And where will the rest come from? What should be our policy on importing pulses as required? I think we must recognize responsibly that there is an ideal balance between what we can domestically produce and what we must import if we are to meet the nutritional requirements of our people. I was very glad to see the reference being made in Mr. Thomas' presentation to the fact that the nutritional status of India's population is very bad, and that of women and children particularly so. But this exercise needs to be undertaken. How much do we need? How much of this is to be grown domestically? How much of this is to be imported? This will also help government in framing its import policies. The question comes up, I only meet Mr. Domre and other colleagues when they come to talk to me about import duties on pulses. Because this is a big question. And the answer to this question depends on what is your policy towards promoting imports, because you are not in a position at this point of time to grow domestically the volume of pulses that you need. This is a big policy question, and I'm fairly sure that a lot of work has been done. It would exist in various places. It probably needs to be pulled together. It needs to be pulled together in such a manner that we have a map, a roadmap ahead, and then the roadmap is one that implementing agencies in different sectors, whether it is departments of agriculture in the state, whether it is the mandi samitis, whether it is people in the business of importing pulses, whether it is consumer activists trying to popularize the consumption of pulses, whether it is public health experts trying to introduce pulses into the diet of our people. Then their work falls into place once we know which is the direction in which we are going in order to ensure self-sustainability in the matter of pulse consumption. I wouldn't say about pulse production, but in the matter of consumption of pulses on a nationwide basis, looking into the future for a growing population, where do we need to be and what do we need to do? I think that is the question to ask. There are any number of small issues which will get sorted out. Small today issues will get sorted out one way or the other. But we must learn to answer the much larger question of where we want to go. And this is where experts, whether they are agriculturists, whether they are trade people, whether they are public health people, whether they are nutritionists, will all need to come into play. So that really is just one large thought that I would like to leave with you, and I hope that as a result of these discussions and these discussions taken forward at your Jaipur meeting next year, perhaps encouraged by the 2016 events that are going to concentrate much more on the whole question of pulses, I hope that we make some progress towards ensuring pulse security and consequentially nutritional security for our people. Thank you.